welcome. I know people aren't in this screen right now, but I like to make it. Hold on. Okay. Okay, this, as you can tell by the topic of this video, this is about churches. Now, the reason I'm sort of a response. This video is sort of a response and sort of not. You see, I was listening to Brandon Tatum. He's a conservative. He talks about political things, and come upon he was ranting about various things, and then he came upon churches. Now, I usually hate it when people talk about churches, mainly because most of the people who talk about churches don't know what they're talking about. Or they making judgment on churches they never attended to themselves to make an informed decision on it by themselves. And the thing about that, and the reason why this is a problem, is because you can't judge a church you've never been to. It's like trying to judge chocolate but never actually eating it. It's like taking it saying chocolate ice cream tastes. I never had it. And somebody told you it's awful, but somebody else told you it's good. You only find out how good chocolate ice cream tastes until you actually taste it for yourself. This is the same with churches. When you try to judge churches, you shouldn't be judging churches to begin with. It's not your place. Let me tell you something. You need to leave it to the boss. If you got a problem with the church, you need to go pray to the boss of the church, who is the head of the church, and that is Jesus Christ. See, by the end of the day, he wants to talk about tithes and offerings. I hate when people start talking about tithes and offerings, that though the pastor is the one making the rules about tithes and offerings. The fact of the matter is, tithes and offering is a command from God. So if you have a problem with tithing, you're doing your 10%, you ain't got to give your 10%. Go ahead and not give your 10%, you're going to be poor. You're going to know why you live paycheck to paycheck. The fact of the matter is, I can't say it because I don't give mine. Not because of any superstition or I'm worried about my money going to pastor, which is none of my business. This money belongs to God. It is not mine to worry about where it goes to, whose pocket it goes into. If the matter is, it goes. He said, bring your tithes to my house so that there may be food in it. Food stored in it. Let me explain to you. Let me explain for those who like to complain about tithes and offerings. Do you know what the Bible says about tithes and offerings? Now, I'm used to newbies complaining about this, so I don't get on them too hard because they don't know the word that well. It's usually the ones that have been in church for a minute. You should know what God says about tithes and offering. Now, that point got me mad about that, his little rant about churches, mega church in general. I mean, let me put it this way. Let me use a metaphor. Let me use a metaphor. Let me right quick and say you own a farm. So you're a farmer and you're farming the land. And somebody put you in charge of the farm. He said you're entitled to eat it. Some of it, but not all of it. Let's say there's people, churches are like farms, okay? Some people have big farms or plantations. Some have small. Most have small plantations. Some have medium-sized plantations. Some people have large plantations. Now, the farmer of this large plantation, as well as all the medium plantations, have the right by the Bible to a portion of what crops are brought in. Now, the bigger plantations may bring in more money, so the portion may be more bigger than the other churches. The fact of the matter is, you do not know the financial finances of everybody in the church. Okay, if it's a mega church, that's what. If everybody gave $1, if it's like 1,000,000 people in that one church and they all gave $1, that's $1,000,000. So he's entitled to a portion of that $1,000,000. So that's a lot of money. But if it's a smaller church, like a church that's probably about the size of my apartment building, and only can fit like 5 people in it, and they all gave $1, that's $5. So that person might not be getting paid a lot of money. Number 2, there's 2 things you need to know about pastors. There's some, not all of them are greedy. Even in those who belong in mega church, you can't lump them all together, generalizing all churches into one group. Now, when you start talking about churches, you better expect some modern criticism. Because first of all, you need to know what you're talking about. First of all, you need to have some facts. You need to actually have been to that church several times, and before you start making a comment about how you don't see them doing stuff, you better actually belong to that church at least for several years before you start to determine whether they're not doing anything for your community. The fact of the matter is, it's easy to from the outside in when you don't visit that church to know what's going on. Now, I heard about that stupid flood. They've already established why they couldn't open the church doors. Now, if you don't believe them, that's your thing. But the fact of the matter is, that's their reason. Now, they also showed pictures of the inside of the building that you did not see. Of course, the media's not going to show you that. So the same person who say we shouldn't believe CNN, who actually the one who broke this news, fakenews.com. You telling me you believe fake news now? The one time you believe fake news, CNN. The one time you believe CNN of all news about a particular mega church, this means you already had a bias against the church to begin with. The one time you believe CNN is when it's involved Joel Osteen because you don't like him for whatever reason. I'm not gonna pretend. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that pastors or some pastors don't do it for money. But that's not my place to judge. They will get their judgment at the end if they're doing something wrong. That's not my place. That's God. That's Jesus. Jesus is the one who's supposed to judge a pastor. If he's embezzling from the church, I can see if he's embezzling from the church, then you have a problem. Or stealing from the church, which is the same thing. Now you on the arguing rant about them all of a sudden becoming famous and start writing books. Most people do that already. I don't know why it's just an amazing new discovery. Why am I treating you like those leftists? Because you acting like a leftist right now. I'm telling you the truth. You acting like a leftist. You acting just like the left when it comes to you don't use your brain. Okay, you use your brain when it comes to politics, but not your brain when it comes to churches. Oh, I don't understand this. You better than this, Brandon. You better than this. You're talking like a leftist right now. You know, there's more to it, more to things than what looks in the eye. I don't know. I don't sit here and try to pretend I know Joel Osteen. I never met the guy. I bet you never met the guy. I bet you never had a conversation with the guy. God blessed him with a jet. Psh, that's on him. But that's actually, I'm missing a point. I just made a point earlier and I didn't finish it. Oh yeah, about the book that you just made. Okay, why I call you sound like a leftist? Because that sounds like the dumbest thing I ever heard with somebody come out somebody's mouth. Talk about why did they write a book when they first started? Let me explain something to you so you can make me understand it. Did you write a book the first time you decided to start motivating people? No, you didn't know enough to write a book. It takes years to know what you're going to put in that book. You don't start writing books. You have to do studies. You got to read. You got to research. You got to experience this stuff. Most of his books about stuff he studied over time. The matter is, T.D. Jakes didn't start out writing books. Most pastors didn't start out writing books. They started writing books after they learned something. Now, it just so happened that they got famous. Now, how did they get famous? They didn't get famous overnight. I bet you they're not as famous as you think they are. Because the fact of the matter is, they're only as famous as you can consider the conservative population to be. They do stuff. They didn't get famous by doing nothing, okay? If they did absolutely nothing but sit there and collect money, they wouldn't be famous. They'd only be famous amongst their peers. Joel Osteen didn't get famous because he sat around in his mega church fiddling with his fingers. Because if he did doing just that and just collecting money on a paycheck, guess what? He would not be famous. So apparently he's doing something in his community to be famous. Or around the world. Maybe what you do not know is maybe God didn't call him to do stuff in his own neighborhood. I mean, the fact of the matter is, maybe you don't know what God called certain particular people to do. There's certain things God has planned for you. You don't know that. Keep your mouth shut. You don't know what God has in store for these churches. You got like several churches in your neighborhood. You just may have 10 churches in your one neighborhood. Why do you need 10 churches in one neighborhood if you have one mega church in one? One should be enough. If you have a mega church, they should be doing stuff in your neighborhood. That's like a lot of people. But if you've got 10 minor churches in one neighborhood and a mega church, what are the other smaller churches doing? You ain't given an example of that, or say that every church in that block is doing anything. You just complain about one church, Joel Osteen Church. It doesn't make sense. You complain about Joel Osteen Church not doing nothing. What about the other 10 churches? Are they doing something? What are they doing? You haven't said anything about what they're doing. You give examples. You gave like one weak example from CNN about the church being flooded. They've already established why they couldn't. I believe what their reason, because it makes some sense. If the basement is flooded, they can't bring people in. And unless you have the same situation as you had in New Orleans where people were getting raped and stuff. Fact of the matter is, in the stadium, fact of the matter is, they did what they thought was right at the time. Now, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. People need to stop ranting about the church, especially if they don't know the Bible. I mean, you go to be Christian, you go to read the Bible. At least read the Bible. If you go talk about tithe and offering, read the Bible about what tithe and offering entails and who commands it. They're not preaching that for their own. They shouldn't be really preaching that for their own. But they're not just saying that to be saying that. That's a God's commandment. It's 10% of everything you own belongs to God. It's His money. Everything you achieve to this point is from God. If it wasn't from God, you wouldn't be making it. I need to start doing my tithe and offering now. Now, I can't preach on that really, so I'm not going to even hound too much on the tithe and offering, but just for that fact that I'm just going to correct you on something. First of all, it's commanded from God. That pastors don't preach that for no reason. Even if you don't tithe and offering, do tithe and offering. That's your choice. But don't sit here and try to pretend like the pastor's just using that just to get money. It's a command from God. It's in the Bible. Malachi says it. So they're not just preaching that just to be preaching it. Don't knock it unless you try it. These people are obviously being blessed, because if you actually looked at any of these people who actually are in the church, you would see that some of these people are actually being blessed by their tithe and offering. They're not just being bamboozled or fraud taken advantage of. Trust me, I know I used to tithe. I used to tithe, and it actually did work. So I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, people who tithe or poor ain't gonna instantly become millionaires. That's not what they say. Anybody with common sense and their brain cells would tell you tithe and offering is not one of those get rich quick schemes. God didn't promise that you get blessed financially, not necessarily, not directly. He said you just be blessed. The fact of the matter is that could be any kind of blessing. Financial, emotional, spiritually, it can be any kind of blessing. It doesn't necessarily be financial, and that's the problem people don't get. When preachers are talking about tithes, offering, and getting blessings, it's not always financial, and I hate when people use financial preaching. I think that's another problem with preaching. They always go with that prosperity gospel nonsense. Not that it's nonsense, but that shouldn't be the primary focus, because it just kind of gives the wrong message that if you tithe off, you automatically get rich, and that's not actually what happens. I don't know why people preach that nonsense. God never said that you're going to get rich if you gave tithe and offerings. They're looking at a broader scope and not the closer to reality scope. I think that's why people think that pastors are just trying to get your tithes and offerings so they can make you rich, because they're preaching this prosperity gospel. Most pastors don't preach the prosperity gospel for that reason. I know I'm talking a minute, but you have to get really, really, really passionate about this when people start talking about ranting about churches that they never been to, never been inside the doors of the church that they're complaining about. I suggest that before you complain about any church, I don't care if it's a mega church or a regular church or a small church, you actually visit that church and you talk to the people. And then you need to read the Bible about what tithe offerings and what the pastor should be earning. You don't get to dictate what the pastor earns. Okay, that's your job, not your decision. It's not your money. It's God's money. I'm tired of people think they own everything. Fact of the matter is, God's money. God's the one who gave you the money. Fact of the matter is, God who gave you the means to make that money. God who gave you the ability to earn that money, and He has the ability to ask for 10% of it back of His own money, and He's entitled to do whatever He wants to do with His own money. He has granted His leaders who give you the tools and the blessings, tools and the knowledge to get you prosper you. Why do you think that you should be limited, should have a certain set amount of money? Who are you to dictate what God can do with His money? Pastors have a right to part of the fruit that he helped sow. He helped sow it, God watered it, it produced a field. He has a right to a portion of that, of what the fruit it comes from it. The Bible says. Now, Paul said, I'd rather not take from the fruit of the field because he doesn't want any ill thing, but he said that was his own decision. He wouldn't say that everybody should do it, or he wasn't recommending that shouldn't do it. He said that's what he decided to do, so that nobody could say anything negative. And he could do that then because he didn't need it. He's like, but he was doing. He said he was already blessed. You don't need any more blessing. But the fact of the matter is this: Joel Osteen has a farm. His farm's really big, and he makes money outside the church and inside the church. I don't know. I've heard that one of them doesn't actually get paid for the church. So if it's the same person I'm thinking of, then your initial rant is even, because the fact of the matter is, if he's not getting paid by the church, then technically speaking, he's not actually robbing the church, and he's actually getting all this from his own income and not for the church. So your rant is irrelevant. But I know one pastor who actually has a mega church that actually doesn't get paid by the church. He gave his freaking salary for the church. He no longer needs the money from the church. And I think it was Joel Osteen who said he didn't want to get paid for church. I have to look that up. It's either that or, I can't remember. It was one of the popular, famous pastors I've heard that from. He don't get no money from the church because he makes enough money from his book sales to actually not have to need salary from the church, which I think is actually a good thing. So nobody can say, oh, he's using the church money to get X, Y, and Z, which he's going to get that anyway, because people are jealous, envious, breaking the commandment of not being envious of your neighbor. I mean, if he's making money off of his books, then he can do whatever the heck he wants to with his own money. It's his own money. He don't have to You don't get to dictate what he makes on his own money. And who are you to tell somebody else they need to make a certain amount of money on books they write? You don't have to buy his books. Man, boy, more you make me mad over here. Son, you supposed to be conservative, supposed to be Christian. Now you over here trying to talk like these freaking secular people on the street. You talking like you just became a Christian yesterday. I expect this kind of rant from somebody who just became a Christian yesterday, and not somebody who's been a veteran Christian. You got a lot to learn about being Christian, dude. I'm not saying you have to give tithes and offering. You don't. I mean, you'll be blessed if you did, but you don't. But and if you need to go up some of these freaking superstitions, these delusions that it's your money, it's not your money. You're giving back to God what He already gave, so technically, what's already His to begin with. You know what? I'm gonna start giving. After this rant, you make me want to start giving my tithes and offering. Next check, I'm gonna give my tithes and offering. I'm gonna take out 10% of my check to God. I'm gonna start giving my tithes and offering every check. See, I'm gonna start living according to the Word. I've actually been wanting to do that, but then, you know what? I'm gonna make the dedication. I'm gonna tell you people this, and I'm gonna tell you this right now. I'm gonna start to give my tithes and offering. Because God considers that stealing. You're stealing from God if you don't give your tithes and offering. Now that's an Old Testament thing, but technically speaking. But I just thought I'd get this rant out the way. Oh, it's no rant, it's more education. And I don't think you have a place to start judging freaking pastors for when you don't go to church. I keep saying this to repeat. I think I've said this 3 times in this sermon. It's not your place. That's God. You need to pray about that crap. You need to pray about your pastors. You need to worry about your own church. You go to church, worry about your own church and your own pastor. I mean, it sounds mean, but that's technically what you need to do. Just worry about your own pastor, your own church, and your own thing. Well, until next time, I got that ran off my chest. Till next time, love your neighbor.